Welcome back to another episode of Up in the Air. I'm Meredith Fish.
And I'm Ryan Breton. We have officially made it to November, Meredith.
Yes, we have. And with the semester flying by and winter weather settling in, I'm excited to see what the season brings.
Yeah, that's right. And actually, I believe that State College registered a trace of snow last weekend on Saturday night.
I believe you are correct. And later on in the show, Hunter Williams will give us the outlook for the upcoming week to see whether another chance of flurries are in the forecast.
That's right. But with that in mind, we also have a lot going on. Corey Barwat will be here from the Weather Risk Management Club to discuss the Moore, Oklahoma tornado that occurred last year.
And Jacob DeFlitch will help us transition from fall to winter.
So we have a busy show, Meredith. Let's get started with the latest news and information from the Weather Enterprise and Climate World. Here is this week's Update in the Air.
Earlier this year, a physicist from Temple University proposed building 3 1,000-foot tall walls across the central U.S. to eliminate the threat of tornadoes. While this article received many critiques from the meteorological community, a graduate student from North Carolina State University, Bryce Kofer, tested the theory. Using the weather research and forecasting model, the same one used by the National Weather Service, Kofer tested simulations and determined how the atmosphere would react with and without the walls. He used the May 2013 outbreak and found that the walls would have little impact on the atmosphere. Because air can rise to 60,000 feet in the central U.S., 1,000-foot walls would only serve to shift airflow around the walls, potentially creating landspout tornadoes or just shifting tornadoes eastward. Seems like this Temple researcher needs to take a meteorological class at Penn State.
You frequently hear about the increasing number of extreme weather events worldwide. Meteorologists and researchers here at Penn State have studied climates and its links to weather for a while. But new research is being performed at the University of Maine thanks to a $1.5 million grant from NOAA with the hopes of providing better predictions for extreme storms. Buoys and underwater gliders are being employed along the Maine coastline to measure water data and correlate that data to more accurate predictions. Data will be received by researchers and students at UMaine in real time, allowing them to better understand the rapid changes that occur as storms approach, hit, and depart. While the link between extreme weather, rising temperatures, and climate isn't necessarily strong at this time, the goal at UMaine is to better predict changing weather, which will benefit all of us in the end.
While the east was freezing and below average temperatures, delegates from more than 100 governments and top scientists met in Copenhagen between October 27th and 31st to edit the newest edition of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Synthesis Report. According to the report, which was published on November 2nd, climate change may have, quote, serious, pervasive, and irreversible impacts for people and ecosystems. The European Union has agreed to cut emissions by 40% by 2030 and shift to using renewable energies, while encouraging major emitters like China and the United States to follow suit. With more than 2,000 comments taken into consideration before publishing, the European Union wanted the IPCC to include the notion that all regions are affected regardless of wealth. Unfortunately, there is still a discontinuity between science and public, as opinion polls show that many people, especially in the United States, are unconvinced of climate change.
Another story out of Maine this week, this one about an incredible early season snowstorm which led to over 130,000 power outages Sunday and Monday. This was the largest power outage in the state since a devastating ice storm hit in December of 2008. Governor Paul LePage declared a state of emergency after the 12 to 20 inches of snow fell from Bangor to Presque Isle in the eastern part of Maine. The highest total was in Cary in Aroostook County, where 21 inches fell Sunday into Monday. This is the same system responsible for snow as far south as South Carolina over the weekend, where several inches were reported in the Appalachians on the end of October.
20 nations with coastlines along the North Atlantic, Mediterranean, and Black Seas participated in a United Nations supervised tsunami warning exercise to improve their ability to respond to an alert and enhance regional coordination in the event of a disaster. Between October 28th and 30th, the UN Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization simulated 4 tsunamis in an effort to assess the overall reactivity of countries participating in the Tsunami Early Warning and Mitigation System. This exercise, termed NEAM Wave 14, is based on a scenario in which 4 earthquakes unleash tsunami events in the Mediterranean and Black Sea and Atlantic Ocean. This exercise is said to have been an opportunity to test the efficiency of the communication systems in charge of transmitting tsunami alerts and to ensure that the authorities in charge of public safety are prepared to face such a threat.
Corn and soybean futures fell earlier this week due to projections that dry weather will accelerate harvests, which are forecast to be the biggest ever in the United States. As Hunter will discuss in the upcoming climate outlook, fairly tranquil and average to above average temperatures are possible in the Midwest and especially west over the next several days. As a result, conditions will remain favorable for harvests of corn and soybeans. Perhaps you remember reports here on Up in the Air last semester from Meteorology 460 students. You can look forward to hearing from them in the spring with more details on the marketplace, and you'll certainly hear more about those soybean and rust futures.
Welcome back to Up in the Air.
Joining us this week is Corey Barwat from the Weather Risk Management Club discussing the Moore, Oklahoma tornado.
Corey, for those of us who can't recall the specifics, can you tell us more about the Moore tornado?
The Moore tornado was an EF5 tornado that struck Moore, Oklahoma on May 20th, 2013. The tornado touched down southwest of Moore just before 3 p.m. Central Daylight Time, with peak winds estimated at 210 miles per hour. The tornado was 1.3 miles wide in its peak, and it created a 17-mile-long path. Despite an even deadlier tornado with a similar path striking Moore in 1999, very few homes and schools had storm shelters.
From a meteorological perspective, how did this tornado form?
The tornado formed from a string of severe storms that spawned several other tornadoes the previous day. Conditions are ripe to form a tornado in such a storm when there is warm, humid air near the surface and colder, drier air aloft, pushing over the warm air like a wedge. When this situation combines with winds that change speed and direction with height, the system can begin to rotate. The central Oklahoma area was right near the jet stream, which meant that it was near some of the fastest, most variable winds associated with the string of storms.
What was the impact this tornado had on the town of Moore?
The Oklahoma Department of Emergency Management reported that 24 people were killed and 377 injured, with an estimated 1,150 homes destroyed and an estimated $2 billion in damages. Among the hardest hit areas were 2 public schools, Briarwood Elementary School and Plaza Towers Elementary School. At the latter school, 75 children and staff were present when the tornado struck. 7 children died at Plaza Towers. A preliminary study on Briarwood Elementary, conducted by a group of structural engineers, found some structural deficiencies that led to its collapse during the tornado. Structural engineers determined the building's walls that were not reinforced with concrete and anchor bolts were pulled from the ground by the tornado. Also, they determined that most buildings with the current building code standards would not have withstood winds over 200 miles per hour.
Is this the first time Moore has been hit by a deadly tornado?
On average, only 1 out of every 1,000 tornadoes that hit the U.S. each year might be in an EF5. This tornado was one of the 8 EF5 tornadoes in Oklahoma since 1950. The red line describes the May 3rd, 1999 tornado. The blue describes the May 8th, 2003 tornado, and the green describes the May 20th, 2013 tornado path. You can see how a portion of the 2013 storm overlaps the 1999 storm, which was an F5 tornado that did around $1.1 billion in damage. 36 people died in that storm, and 8,000 homes were badly damaged or destroyed. Moore could easily be hit again, as this tornado is actually the 4th to hit the city directly in just 14 years.
Thank you, Corey. We'll be back right after this. And welcome back to Up in the Air.
Joining us now is Hunter Williams with a look at the weather patterns taking shape for the next couple of weeks in this week's Climate Outlook. Hi, Hunter.
Thank you, Ryan and Meredith. I'm student meteorologist Hunter Williams here with your Climate Outlook. Now, after a lot of people through the Northeast did see their first flakes of the year, in fact, a white Halloween for a few people, People are asking, will these below normal temperatures stick around? And unfortunately, as we get into November, I believe they will be sticking around here for quite some time. Now, below normal temperatures are likely here through the northeast and extending down through the southeast as well. North Georgia, North Alabama, North Mississippi, and through Arkansas. Also getting in on some of these below normal temperatures. In fact, far below normal for a lot of people through the Midwest here. Now, as we take a look out west, in fact, it's actually a different story. Above normal temperatures for a lot of people, and especially through parts of Central California, you will be well above normal as you head throughout the next week here. Now, moving on to precipitation, a bit of a different story as we see slightly above normal precipitation likely through New England, extending through western Pennsylvania and into the Midwest here. But as we take a look down south, below normal precipitation is likely through the same parts of the country that we'll be seeing these cooler temperatures. Now, out west, unfortunately, it does look like these drought conditions aren't going anywhere anytime soon. In fact, below normal precipitation or far below normal precipitation likely for a lot of these drought-stricken areas through parts of northern California, northern Nevada, and southern Oregon here. So as we go throughout the next couple of weeks, continuing to see these drier conditions, and we will be on the lookout for fire weather as well as this persisting drought. Back to Ryan and Meredith.
Jacob DeFlitch from Penn State's TV meteorology class is here now to help us transition from fall to, for some people, the dreaded winter.
I'm here on top of Walker Roof at Penn State, and if we look behind me, we have a nice view of Mount Nittany. Now, on top of Mount Nittany, we are finally starting to see the color change in the leaves thanks to the season of autumn. But as we move a couple months ahead in time, we start moving past autumn and start moving into everyone's favorite, or least favorite season of the year, the season of winter. Winter known to bring cold conditions throughout the Commonwealth during the few months it is here, and many people take different precautions to ensure their safety throughout the months. I've researched some of these precautions to help you stay safe throughout this winter season. Although a great way to keep warm during the winter season, there are some precautions you should take so that you or your family is not harmed when having a fire inside your own home. A few ways you can do this is to make sure you clean out your chimney after every fire. Make sure when you do start a fire, start with newspaper or dry kindling. Never use gasoline or kerosene as it might affect your health. And never burn garbage or cardboard within the fire inside your house. When you do spend your time outside during the cold winter months, make sure you're dressed appropriately for the weather. For adults and kids, that means wearing hats, gloves, and mittens to make sure those extremities are covered, and then layer your clothing with a water-resistant jacket and then a warm jacket, or long socks and long pants, so the body heat stays inside of you. Watch out for heat loss, as persistent shivering is a sign that you should head indoors to stay safe. Finally, when you are shoveling that last layer of snow off your sidewalk or your driveway so you can get your car into your garage, make sure you are safe about it. Snow shoveling is a known trigger for heart attacks as it puts much strain on the heart. If you get lightheaded or feel short of breath, make sure you head indoors or drink lots of water so you do stay hydrated while putting much physical exertion on your body. I got the opportunity to talk to Professor Bill Cyrette here at Penn State to hear his plan this winter of how to prepare for this upcoming season.
Preparing for winter, there's not much I need to do. I usually have a crappy snow shovel, so I like to make sure it hasn't rusted out and then buy a new one beforehand if I need it. Main thing I do is clear out the garden and till it once before the fall, plant my garlic, and then it just sits through the winter and makes me happy the next year.
So no matter what you do, make sure you at least heed a few of these warnings so you are safe in this upcoming winter season, because it won't be long until these colorful leaves all fall off the trees and that winter chill will spread into the region.
Thanks very much, Jacob. Now, if only I had a fireplace to clean, Meredith.
Me too. One day we'll have those.
Right.
And that's all the time we have for tonight. We would like to thank everyone who came onto our show today.
Join us next week for another episode. But first, I'm Ryan Breton.
And I'm Meredith Fish. See you next week up in the air.